What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we begin the two most popular videos on my channel pretty much every year. And that is what my entire collection looks like at the end of 2022. Today we are talking about ink. I spent a good portion of yesterday swabbing up all of my ink on nice crinkly Tomoe River paper for you. So towards the end of this video, stick around if you want to see all of those swabs. For the bulk of the first half of the video, we're just going to be rocking through the insane amount of ink bottles that I have. So I'm going to try and fly through them fairly quickly. I've organized them by the miscellaneous category, where I only have one of that in particular brand, and then I'm going to break them down by brand. I do also have a ginormous amount of ink samples, but I already showed you those and talked about those in the video that I titled my deepest fountain pen shame or something like that last week, I believe it was. So if you want to see more about the ink samples, go check that out because I have a stupid amount of them. I had 55 ink samples and I have 56 bottles. That's a lot. Considering I tried my best not to buy that much ink, and surprise, I have a lot of ink. So this is going to be a long video, so I do recommend maybe pausing, grabbing a cup of coffee, hot cocoa, hot chocolate, a tea, a donut, I don't know, a candy cane maybe, and sit back and relax. And tomorrow we will party all over again, but with my entire fountain pen collection. Let's get started. All right, so starting with the miscellaneous category, this category means that I only have one ink of like this particular brand. So first up, I got Tassia, and this is Benisucci, I think. Cute little bottle. I do like the square ones. And obviously you can tell a little bit of what color. Like I said, all the swatches will be coming up. And I have Platinum Carbon Black. I don't use this one very often, but when I do, hello! Nice to see you all. But when I do, it's because I want a black that is like a deep, deep, deep permanent black, and this one takes the cake. One that I've had forever, and I'm like almost done it, as you can tell, is J.Herbin Lidete. I adore this ink. It's kind of a browny, yellowy brown, pain in the tuchus of a bottle to fill from, but solid ink, solid choice, highly recommend. The Leonardo Officina Italiana Sepia, I got this one when I purchased the Jonathan Brooks fountain pen. This bad boy right here. These two came together, which is why I only have one of these, but I have used other Leonardo inks. I just haven't bought them, and I like it a lot. This one, I never remember really what it's called because there's no English on it, but I believe this is Iro, so Kyoiro, Moonlight of Higiyashima or something. I don't know. I'll see it on the swab later. Yeah, there's no English on the bottle, so I never remember what it is, but it's a really lovely ink. And then I have Monteverde Blueberry Muffin. This one I got for free with some pen purchase. I don't even remember now, from Goulet Pens. Very lovely ink. In fact, it's what has stained my thumb yesterday. So if you check it, if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen it in my stories yesterday. This got pretty gnarly. In fact, I had ink absolutely everywhere. But it's nice ink. It's just, it's a pain to open and close. Another free ink that I got from Goulet Pens. When you buy a pen, they just give you an ink for free. They have promotions like that throughout the year. This is Private Reserve Vampire Red. Don't use reds too often, but I thought it's free, so can't hurt to have one on hand. And then, of course, because I'm obsessed with browns, I did get the Ackerman ink SBRE Brown. This bottle is dope. I absolutely adore it. And then the last of the miscellaneous category is Troublemaker. This is Kelp Tea. I'm thinking about getting either like the Milky Ocean or like the Petrichor. The Petrichor I've gone through some samples of and I really, really like. So I think I will do that. Okay, now we're going to start getting into categories. So these are inks that I have multiple of in the same brand. And this obviously is Montblanc. I don't keep the boxes for pretty much any of my ink, but for whatever reason, these square ones I do. I'm not really sure why, probably because the ink bottles themselves are really difficult to tell apart. But first up, we've got Heritage Spider Metamorphosis. I don't love this ink because it's a very light gray, very light. So this is the only kind of like indication of what the ink is, which is pretty much why I keep the boxes as well. But it's a really light gray, so if I have it inked up, it's usually in a pen that's like super duper saturated. Excuse me, because it's a little light for my taste. I bought it off of Ink Swabs and it did me dirty. And then I have Antoine de Saint-Exupéry Encre du Désert. I don't know how to pronounce any of that. I'm a terrible Canadian, bad French. This is a really nice, deep, rich, purpley, burgundy kind of color. I like it a lot. I like to keep it in my Midnight in Florence Visconti Homo Sapiens fountain pen. Don't know why, it just tends to do that. And then I have Montblanc Petit Prince Red Fox. This one was an ink purchase I got caught up in the hype for, and I don't really care for it. It's a fine ink. There's nothing wrong with it. It cleans up really nicely. It's just, I mean, it says brown orange, but yeah, it's a really light red, kind of like a light dusty red, and it's not my jam. I prefer things that are a little more saturated. And then I got William Shakespeare Velvet Red. I love this red. Absolutely love it. This one's a small bottle. It's just a 35 ml bottle, but I adore it. Don't use it super often just because I don't use reds super often. But if I'm in the mood, oh baby, she fulfills it. The only quote unquote standard Montblanc ink I have is Toffee Brown in this like shoehorn bottle, which I love. I love these bottles. I used to have the lavender purple, which I went through the entire bottle of, and I kind of wish I picked up one more before they stopped making it. But to be fair, I don't need another bottle of ink. So, Toffee Brown. It's a nice basic brown. And then I have probably two of the most expensive inks in my entire collection. James Purdy & Sons Cigar and Single Malt. We all know that Single Malt is my obsession, although it is being quickly replaced by one other. Oops, sorry guys, I hit the camera. As you can tell, I'm almost out of this ink, but have no fear, I do actually have a full bottle in reserve, ready to go for this one. It's the only bottle that I've ever bought two of, so when this one's done soon, I'm good to go. And then Cigar. I don't know why they chose to put this one in like a blackout bottle. I don't care for that personally. I like the clear ones, but that is just me. So that is my Montblanc collection. All right, next up we have Sailor. I don't have too many Sailor inks, and this is the only exception that proves the rule for boxes that I keep. I love this box, and no, there's two more boxes. I love this box. It's so cute, and I just love it. This is the first Tea Time ink that Sailor came out with. This is the Fica or Fika, however you want to pronounce it. It's a very, 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 very rich dark brown. I did miss the Christmas one that came out just recently, but like I said, it's just a bit of FOMO on that one. I don't need more ink. And then I have two others. This is 224, aka Thunderfluff, that Drew Brown nicknamed. This is one of those like chromatic, or however you want to pronounce that. Where if you have it in a super duper wet pen, it's like you see multiple different colors all at once, which is adorable. It's a very, very light color at first, so if you don't have it in like just a wet noodle of a pen, you may or may not have a good time with this ink, but I adore it, especially my Pilot Custom 912 with the ebonite feed and the falcon nib. Mint. And then this ink I actually bought by mistake. I thought I was buying a sample, but I put the bottle in there instead. This is the Wearingeul line Kikyu. It's a really nice blue, just kind of like a standard blue, teal blue, dark kind of blue-black almost. But I really, really do enjoy this ink. And I went through like a good long phase where I had this one inked up in one of my Kawecos for probably like 3 months at a time. And then I got a little collection of Atramentis inks, tobacco, and cola. Cola, you may or may not know if you've been watching me for a while, I pretty much only ever put in my Platinum Century 3776. This one is sort of a reddy brown, smells like cola, kind of like an alcoholic cola. I've used about half the bottle roughly. I've had this forever, since the dawn of time, pretty much since like I think 2015. It was one of the very first inks I ever bought. And about halfway through, it's only a 35 ml bottle, so I don't use it a ton anymore since I have so much ink, but I do very much enjoy it. And then I have tobacco. And tobacco is also a scented ink. This one is sort of like a yellowy brown-ish. Similar-ish to Lidate. It says BS on it because I bought it from Goulet Pen's bottom shelf because it had some smudge on it. I love picking up stuff from their bottom shelf. You get a pretty good discount and the contents are perfectly fine. It's just that there's a little bit of ink on the label and that's it. All right, I'm going to try and fly through these real quick. These are all of my Wearingeul inks. These were all sent to me, so I did not purchase any of these. The vast majority, I think actually, to be fair, everything else other than these, I purchased with my own money. As I'm looking around, yes, that is true. Like I said, the two, like the Monteverde one and the Private Reserve, technically I didn't buy those, but they were sent with pens that I did buy and they were a promotion. But these ones were sent free of cost. So I have Lost, Mature, the two Jekyll and Hydes. These ones I did do a review of, by the way, because you actually mix this one on your own. I Am a Cat, which is a shimmering one. This one, well, all three of these, I don't actually remember what they're called. You'll have to see them on the swabs because, once again, there's no English on the bottle. And I just straight up don't remember. These are okay inks. I don't use them a ton. This one's probably the one that I use most often. This is a really nice purple. I use I Am a Cat to do a lot of the swabs on like testing papers, just to see what that shimmer is all like, but I don't use them a ton. They're just not my go-to. They're beautiful inks, but for whatever reason, I just don't tend to gravitate towards them. I have a small little collection of Kaweco pens. Wow, I got a lot of pens, inks. This Kaweco Sunrise Orange and Palm Green. It doesn't say on it anywhere what the actual color is, but I believe it was called Palm Green. Yeah, as you can tell, excuse me as I almost choke on my own spit, it's been through some things. I tend to only use this one around the holidays. I'm not a green ink person, but this is a very nice green ink. It's very saturated, very rich, very welcoming, but I tend to only use it around the holidays and it sticks and it's hard to get open since I only open it once a year. So I've had to use a lot of rubber grips. 1 year I actually had to soak it to try and get it open. So it's been through some things. I've had this one probably since about 2016, roughly. This is the old style bottle. This is the new style bottle, significantly easier to open. So these are the two Kawecos that I have. I also have two Noodlers, although to be fair, they are shockingly similar. And neither color are what I remember them being from the ink samples that I had, which is fascinating to me. But, you know, it is what it is. This one is Noodler's Pecan. I believe they are transitioning their labels now So this is their older label. And then I have Noodler's Golden Brown. I have 2 Lamy inks that are very difficult to distinguish just from looking at the tops. I have turquoise and I have tourmaline. But when you look at the actual ink bottles, this lighting is a little bit difficult to tell, but you can tell that they are significantly different colors. So turquoise is my favorite turquoise. It's just solid. I just love it. If you pour it on, it does sheen really nicely red. I do like the Lamy ink bottles. You can make a ton of dirty jokes about this, but it does mean that you can fill from the spaceship relatively easily. And you can see here I've gone through a fair amount of this ink. Again, turquoise is not one that I use very often anymore, but I'm very glad that I have turquoise in my collection, and I do recommend you pick it up if you just want a good, solid turquoise. And then I have tourmaline, which I will also take off the butt because it's a little easier to see the color. It kind of looks the same on camera, but tourmaline is sort of like a teal on the green side. Bang. But I really, really enjoy these 2 inks. I have 3 inks from Robert Oster, Australia's Oak, Antelope Canyon, and Fire and Ice. As you can see, Fire and Ice has been through some things. This, not that you can really tell, but I'm going to guess the levels probably around here. This, oh my gosh, you guys, there's a story with this ink. So Fire and Ice really changed the game, I think, with a lot of fountain pen ink for sheen. The level of red sheen that comes out of this is really pretty. Nowadays, especially with a couple that I'll get to in a moment, nowadays this ink does not sheen very much at all by comparison to some others, but this was one of the first that did it, and really kind of changed the game, blew it up. And so I really, really like it. And then Antelope Canyon and Australia's Oak are very sort of light brown, orangey kind of colors. They're not my favorite, to be fair. I had higher expectations of both of these ink, but they're still good. They let me down a little bit. All right, and then we come to KWZ. I have 2 inks. I have Northern Twilight, which was a Scriptus exclusive. This was the very first year that it came out in 2016, but it did come out again, I believe, in 2018, and maybe one other time. I can't quite remember. Very difficult to see through the bottle. It is a very, very, very dark blue that, depending on what kind of pen you have it in, you can get some really good shading. And then KWZ Honey. This ink actually was sent to me from an old pen pal. I don't have pen pals anymore. There's just too many to keep up with, and it was stressing me out. But this one was sent to me back when Honey was blowing up. This is the original formulation, and I just absolutely adore it. I love to put this one in my Bennu Euphoria bourbon. All right, and then we come to Birmingham Pen Company. I love these little bottles. They're so cute and adorable. I love the font that they chose, the actual feel of the label. Really awesome. I have 4 inks. I have Chrysanthemum, Snowflake, Eroded Bronze, and Copper Chloride. And they're all 30 ml bottles. I don't use them a ton, just because they are kind of actually similar. This one is obviously not. This one's like a dusty brownie purple. But these 3 are fairly similar. And their swabs on their website were a little misleading. Solid inks. It's just I have so many, and for whatever reason, these tend to not be something that I go for that often. If I do, I tend to go for Snowflake because it's part of their Swift formula, which means it's like lubricated a little bit, so it's nice and wet. And then these are their Crisp formula, so just standard everyday inks. And this one is very different from what I have anywhere else. This is also a Crisp, so it's standard, but it's like a dusty purple with like black undertones. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. All right, then I have my Diamine. I have 3 of them. I have Oxford Blue, Writer's Blood, and A Night in Jodhpur. However you pronounce that, I don't know. Oxford Blue is their kind kind of like a basic blue. It's actually pretty close to the color down here. It's a deep, rich blue. This is their smaller bottle. I really like this ink quite a bit, but I don't think I would ever go through an 80 ml bottle, which are these giant bad boys. This is one of my favorite inks of all time. So definitely went ahead and bought the big bad boy, which is good because I go through it quite often. And then I have A Night in Your Purr. I bought this one from Galen Leather, but it's from a store called Papier and Stift. It had a little freezing issue in transit, so it's stained, but it's a very nice blue ink. It sheens like no other. Well, actually, no, it does sheen like another. It sheens like Diamine Polar Glow. They're similar inks in that they both have very, very heavy red sheen. This one is a little bit more of a standard blue with that sheen. This one's a little bit more teal with the sheen. But Polar Glow cleans out easier than that one, so I tend to stick to this guy here. And it's one of my favorite inks of all time. And then the last Diamine I have is actually in a sailor bottle. It is Ancient Copper. It came in a bottle like this, but once it got down to like in and around here, I couldn't fill from here anymore. And it's such a small opening that I put it into this sailor bottle. I'm almost out of this, so I will probably pick up another small bottle. This used to be my favorite ink of all time until things like the Montblanc one came out and a Dominant Industry that I'll talk about in a minute. But this one does tend to make some crusty barnacles on your nib when you've had it inked up for a while. So lovely, lovely ink, but can be problematic sometimes. Still cleans out really easily despite the barnacles. All right, and then I have 3 Pilot Iroshizuku inks. I have Suki-yo, which is one of my all-time favorites, Sakushi, and Shinkai. So Shinkai and Suki-yo are both in the blue family, but as you can tell by the little swatches down here, they are on polar opposite sides. So you've got sort of like a teal blue-ish, and then you have their version of a blue-black. Suki-yo is one of my favorites of all time. Shinkai is very nice, but it is a little bit more basic, so it just kind of depends on my mood. And then you have Sakushi, which is their version of a brown ink. I picked this one up because Pilot was like, yeah, we're going to stop making this. You're not going to be able to find it anymore. So I bought it because I do like the ink, and I got caught up in the FOMO. But they didn't phase it out as fast as they said they were going to, and it's still available, slowly going away, but I think they just made a ton and then called it a day. So I don't use this one as much just because I have so many. Suki-yo, when I'm done this bottle, I will buy another one. I've also used to have Konpeki and Yamabudo, but I went through those bottles and did not feel the need to pick up a new one, but Suki-yo definitely. All right, we're almost there. We've got this, one more brand, and then we'll pop out the swatches. So these 2 are from Ferris Wheel Press, Steeped Umber and Writer's Desk. Writer's Desk is an exclusive with Wonder Pens in Toronto. Both are very lovely. I keep the boxes for Ferris Wheel Press because each box is different based on the ink that you buy, and their boxes are absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Both are in the brown family. Writer's Desk is a very deep, rich brown. Steeped Umber is a little bit more on the red, warmer side. This one is relatively new, this Steeped Umber, and Writer's Desk has been out, I think, for a little over a year now, but absolutely stunners. And the final 2 bottles that I have are also from Wonder Pens that are exclusives to them, Ginger Chicken and Tuna Gray. These inks were formulated after the colors of their 2 cats. So Chicken is their orange tabby that they have, and Tuna Gray is, well, Tuna is their regular version, I guess, like a normal tabby cat that just sort of wandered into their shop one day and then just became part of the family. This ink, Ginger Chicken, has changed the game for me. This is quickly replacing Montblanc James Purdy & Sons as my #1 favorite of all time. It's very, very similar to Diamine Ancient Copper. It is not identical, but it is similar to Ancient Copper. It's a little more orange than Ancient Copper, but it flows beautifully. It cleans out beautifully. It does not crust up. It dries nicely. So this is very quickly becoming my all-time favorite. My only gripe with it is that it's a small bottle and it is relatively expensive. It's a 25 ml bottle and it costs 17 Canadian dollars. So probably like, I'm going to guess like $14 American roughly, but shipping to the States is quite a lot. But this is just dynamite. So if you live in Canada, oh my gosh, guys, when they get this back in stock, don't even think about it. Sign up for their stock notifications. I'm not being paid to say this. Wonder Pens doesn't even know who I am. But just trust me, get it. Live into that FOMO because gosh darn, it's worth it. All right, let's get into these swatches. Just a reminder, by the way, I do have a million ink samples. But like I said, I've done a video on those. So check that out if you want to. All right, so we're going to try and go through this relatively quickly. I'm not even going to say a whole lot about them, but if you want to like kind of analyze it a little bit more, just feel free to pause the video and take a look. I did my best to label them clearly underneath, but sometimes my writing is my writing. Keep in mind what you're seeing on camera may not be picture perfect color accurate, but it gives you a good enough idea. So the last thing I'm just going to kind of point out is sort of a side-by-side, like I was mentioning, between Ancient Copper and Dominant Industry, the Ginger Chicken one. Like I said, Ancient Copper is a little bit more on the red side. Ginger Chicken's a little bit more on the orange side. So they are different colors, but they're relatively similar. And so if you can't get Ginger Chicken and you have Ancient Copper, then don't feel like, oh my gosh, you have to pay all that money for shipping if you're outside of Canada. I just prefer Ginger Chicken now. It's such a warm, inviting, cozy color to me. And like I said, it doesn't have the crusticle problems that Diamine Ancient Copper can have. So just wanted to kind of point that out since I mentioned it before. So if you made it this far into the video, let me know what your favorite ink was of mine that you saw. Let me know if you've used most of these or any of them or whatever. Just let me know what you think. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you check out the description, you'll find the link to my Patreon account if you would like to help support me and what I do on this channel. But guys, thank you so much for everything you've done for me over this year. This year has been incredible on this channel, and I'm so grateful to have you all in my life. But thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, I'll see you next time. Bye. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. Just kidding, that's the beginning. It is time for our Patreon crew shout out. This was filmed as of December 1st, so if you don't see your name, don't fret. I will update it as soon as I possibly can. My two ultimate humans, Daniel Rodney and Comp Dave, and all my VIPs, Susan, McCall Bennett Lawrence, Karen Epstein, Gretchen Peters, Carol Lowry, Michael Simon, Subi1 Kenobi, Catherine Molina, Weilei Chang, Brian Law, Bill Pemberton, Lucas Bell, Robert Myers, Marissa Calvo, Eric Lineman, Stephen Baldwin, DigitalTent.tech, Bobby A. Bailey, Bass, Joan Worthman, Luna Wolf Games, Aaron C., and Glenn Kelly. You guys make it super possible for me to keep making these videos. No matter what tier you're in, I thank you for supporting me on Patreon, especially those of you who've been with me since the beginning. You mean more to me than you could possibly ever know. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.